before we get into this chapter? Because it was a pretty quick chapter. There's some interesting stuff to talk about. We'll get to that. I Don Don is about to blow the fuck up.
Yes,
Finally.
it's
Oh
crazy.
my god, the anime looks so fucking good.
It looks
Oh,
great.
ooh, Science Saru. I'm very excited. Science Saru is right next to Trigger, with my
Mm,
favorite studios.
okay,
Trigger,
okay.
been a long time fan ever
They were
since
definitely in the conversations. It's a whole story, honestly. I can give a whole story as to how like the Don fandom was like trying to keep it. They're
trying
like,
to get.
who's gonna be the studio? It was a
Did
whole thing.
did did anybody have Science Saru? Because that's kind of out of left field, I think.
Yeah,
Even
I
though it's
think that
great.
when it was announced, I will say that people were very depressed. I will say that people were very,
Really?
very well, okay, let me
What?
rephrase that. Not when it was announced. When before it was announced, because we
When
got
it was
leaks.
leaked.
Yeah, it was
Leaked.
leaked.
Yeah,
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 when it
yeah.
was
Leaked
leaked,
of Science
people
Saru.
were very, very upset. People were like, it was a dark time in the Don GCs. We were trying to
Why?
consult people. I was telling people to just chill out. I my opinion on animes is different than a lot of other people's. I'm a big manga person, so when an adaptation comes out, I kind of
Yeah.
I just
Honestly,
kind of let it happen. I say whatever happens happens because a lot of animes disappoint.
right. And at the end of the day, if the manga's gas, the anime's just gravy.
Exactly.
It gets some attention on it.
Yeah. Exactly.
It gets the volumes moving, and if
That's
it
the
ends up
key
being a
behind
quick
the anime.
peak,
I hope
then
it helps it sell. That's the key. I hope it helps
yeah,
it sell.
yeah.
Obviously, we don't necessarily need sales, but I would like to be able to boast. I want to talk a little bit of trash. I want to be. I don't want people to be like this
I
anime didn't do anything. That would
I
suck. You know
will
what I mean?
say it's really rough not being in the magazine. Chainsaw Man
Yes.
has been
Yes.
suffering out of the magazine as well.
Mm,
And Don Don Don, even though it's so good, it's
it's
a
really good.
lot better than a lot of things running in
It
Jump
really
magazine. it is
objectively
it's
clear.
it struggles with the advertisement just because it doesn't have
Yeah.
the reach of like the convenience store shelves
Yeah.
that you get from being on the cover of WSJ.
It's an interesting thing.
Man, a Don 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 cover. Maybe for the
Imagine.
anime.
You know what I
Maybe
mean?
for the anime,
Imagine.
hopefully. That would
Ah,
be crazy.
it would be crazy. It's funny because now I'm looking around social media and I see Don everywhere. And
Yes.
the whole reason why I started the whole like Don to Don account sort of thing was because nobody was talking about this manga. Like I was
I
like,
remember.
I
Y
came on social
I
media and I was like, what the heck? I was like, how are you not talking about Don to Don?
I remember because I came across because you were talking about it because you were in the fucking
Mm,
talking about Chainsaw Man,
yes,
and
loved it.
I would see you being like, "Yo, that's crazy," and I was like,
Yeah,
"This looks wild. I have to check it out."
yeah.
This is by a former
Former
Fujimoto
assistant.
assistant,
How we used to
goaded.
hook people in. We used to be like, he used to work for the guy that did Chainsaw Man and Fire.
I mean, it's a great act.
Yeah,
There's a whole class of those now. Fucking
it's
whole
crazy. Honestly, I still
generation,
need to read.
Centurias popping
Yes,
off.
I need to
Yeah.
read that.
Ooh.
Honestly, it was funny because they did this whole one shot competition, and then
Yes.
it was like they were like, "Hey, man, you gotta stop. They're like, you gotta stop copying Fujimoto. Like, do something
Yes.
for that."
Yes. Fujimoto era. It's a new era in manga, honestly. People call me pretentious for this kind of fucking take,
They
but
do,
it is
yeah.
what it is.
Hey,
Like,
man, listen. A little bit of pretentiousness is good. I got my arms up too. I got my hands up too. Like a little bit of
look,
pretentiousness is good.
just
What are you gonna What are you gonna do? I mean, he's that
look
guy.
at
He
look
is.
at look at Mad. There was a one shot that came through not too long ago. That was literally just like bar for bar doing Fujimoto shit.
Mm,
He found a new style in the manga space, and he put it on the pages of jump, and that's going to have a big impact. It is what
So
it
this
is.
chapter is, I mean, I feel like this chapter, the
Yes,
whole sequence is like a prime example of it. You know what I mean?
this chapter is absolutely prime Fujimoto. So let's get
Yeah.
into the broadcast here. We are back with another chapter discussion, another one-on-one, one-on-one podcast. It's intimate. We can go at length on our topics here. We love to see it. Um, uh, this is a public safety special broadcast. I am your host, Secret Doves, age 33. My devil contract is, of course, with the War Devil. Oh! Oh, that's my guest. Go ahead and introduce himself. Take it away.
Yep. I am creative migraine, typically referred to as Don migraine because of the PFP and basically the whole profile is based around the series. But I am 28 and my devil contract is a bit of a secret, like Kobini.
Okay, secret. Okay, that's. I think we've had two of those, two secret contracts.
Yeah.
Will we ever find Kobani's? This is
You
one
know,
of the
this is one of the
lingering
things that
secrets in the
Fujimoto
series.
does that is like it's really a whole brain scramble trying to understand where he's going with this manga, but we let him cook. We will let him cook.
It is what it is,
Yeah. This
Uh, man, there's still so much left in part two. That's the thing
That's
about
what's
it.
so bizarre is that it's like we both cracked the surface, but also like have we like
Yeah, we're
there's the
getting
whole
things.
Nayuta thing. Like Nayuta's a bit, I mean, there's Nayuta. We haven't even
Yeah,
seen the Death Devil, right? Like the whole four
that's a new
horsemen
one.
concept is like it's still up in the air.
The Fire Devil came
Yes.
in like 20 chapters ago,
Great introduction, but
and
also
you
we don't
know
know who that is. It's
that's
a bit of a
you know
question.
th- they're hanging around.
And they have
You know
weird
they were
abilities.
the main antagonist, right, of part two, effectively, with like
That's a good point. Yeah.
they're the architect of the
Yeah.
Yuko scenario. They're
True.
the one doing the
True.
whole evil
Wow.
uh evil chainsaw monsters thing, and they're not even in the story at all. This great.
I didn't even
So
think of it that way. To be real, I didn't think of it that way as them being responsible. It's so like many layers of like, oh, we're gonna go this way, and then we yank back the opposite direction. That I'm not even like, I'm just letting Fujimoto cook. I'll be real.
it's very different than part one, which
Yeah.
has thrown a lot of people for a loop. It's very different than anything you'll find in the weekly magazine, for sure. Like you
Yeah, he
think.
doesn't really care about any of that. He's just like,
No, yeah, he's abandoned all of the
yeah,
story structures that,
abandoned is a good word for it because he's definitely thrown a little bit of a caution to the wind when it comes to telling this story. And I hope he, every now and then I'm like, does he really know where he's going? And then
let's
I'm like, he does kind of pay off a lot of stuff. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I do think that with Fujimoto's storytelling, I mean, with the Fire Devil, it's an interesting one because the four sisters, you know what I mean? You have the four sisters of the apocalypse, if we can call them that. The four sisters, four I don't want to say siblings, but four sisters of the apocalypse. You have Fami, Nayuta, Yoru, and then the question mark, who I assume is going to be a very simple version of death, right? It's a very simple name for
Well, you
death.
know what I think. You know who I think it is.
Oh yeah, you think it is? I don't think it's her, but I don't think it's anyone we've seen. There's
Come
so many
on.
theories. And he's doing this on purpose. That's what's so weird. Like when she was first introduced, I was like, that's definitely Death. I was like, that's Death Devil right there. And then like a couple chapters went by and I was like, this is not Death. You know what I mean? But that was also when people thought Yoshida was Death Devil. That was back when, I mean, Kishibe might be Death Devil at this point. Where the hell is Kishibe? He hasn't really popped up at this point.
Wow, dude.
It could
People
be
are like
Nini might be
literally
her devil's a secret. You know what I mean? Her devil's
people. That's what I'm saying. But people are literally getting mad at Kishibe for not coming back. They keep like slandering him. You'd be like, this bum. He's the mastermind. He's the one who's doing all this.
Listen, I
Maybe
posted a
he
tweet.
he hates Denji. That's why he's not coming back.
I have posted I can't say it's slander. I think it's a little bit more. There's definitely comedy in it. I definitely posted one or two things about Kishibe because where the hell is he? Like, what are you doing? There's been a whole like terrorist attack.
It's kind of crazy.
You know what I mean? Like it was Falling Devil. Okay, fine. You ignore the Falling Devil. You don't show up for Nayuta. All right, whatever. But then like once we get to like Chainsaw Man, like Massacre, you know what I mean? Like there's like a whole like people like turning into chainsaws, and Quan Chi appears. Really, Kishibe? Quan Chi shows up. She's looking good. She's out there showing out. She's taking down the terrorists. And Kishibe is like in La La Land. Like I don't want to say he's in La La Land because I do think Fujimoto has a plan for him. But like, where the hell is he? Where is he?
Literally. I mean, okay, I will say, give to Kishibe Defense Force assemble. From the phrase Quan Chi used in Japanese, it seems like he had to go. He had to dip. He had to get the fuck out of there.
Really?
Yes.
What chapters? What interaction was this? Not actually chapter.
When she talks about her old friend who told her not to fuck with Denji. You know what I mean? Don't fight Denji. The phrase she used made it sound like a relationship that has been like severed and long gone or whatever. So it seems like he's on the run or dead.
Really?
Which would be crazy.
Well, at least can we say safely retired? If he's retired, then he's retired. I don't have a problem with it. I get the feeling that he's somewhere and he's like watching news and he's like, well, those bastards at public safety suck, so I'm not going to go help them.
Yeah,
but also, I don't really know, like, what does it take to get you back in the game? Nayuta's gone. Denji's turned into hero of hell.
Yeah, this was your thing.
Right, like this was
you set this up.
He was the guy.
Why did you do this? And then now you're just gone. Mate, I can see him coming back. I can definitely see him coming back in this fight. You know what I mean? Because this is sort of like,
I mean, this is as big as it gets. The only thing I think a bit bigger is like, I don't want to say this yet, but like, I feel like there's possibilities for the War Devil to show us things that we have not yet seen about her character.
Possibilities. You mean okay? Well,
I just feel like
let's get into the details of the chapter then.
Yeah, let's go into it.
As we bring that up, okay? Because Yoru, we're talking about chapter 155. Both hands.
Yeah. Okay, we got to talk about the arms. We got to talk about the arms. We continue, but we got to talk about the arms.
Okay. Yes. So
wings flipped.
This chapter, I want to say, on the top of this chapter, really conceptually interesting. There's no speech bubbles. Obviously, got no mouths. Is the thing, but we even go no sound effects, which is sort of almost unprecedented for Fujimoto. Like even low dialogue chapters, nothing new for Chainsaw Man. It's like every fucking chapter is like that. But having no sound effects at all, just a fully silent, only visuals chapter is a first, I think. Right, the sound effects and the way they integrate in the design of the pages is his signature move. So having it be truly truly silent like this. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yes. Okay, and you wanted to talk about the hands.
Yeah, the hands are a bit of a problem. I will say that.
in terms of the war general agenda, hands.
No, in terms of the Asa agenda, honestly, like, where is the reaction to losing your arms? Like, we gotta have something. And honestly, this is a weird chapter because Asa lost her arm. Like, Yoshida cut her arm. Then she transforms the room without touching it, which is, I mean, there's connections there, right? Like the hands, the arm, not having to touch things to transform them, etc. And she transforms the whole room into a sword, and Yoshida runs for his life, right?
Yes.
Then we kind of cut through the time skip, and we're going back a little bit here, but we cut through the time skip, and she kind of acknowledges, like, wow, a lot has happened. Like, I lost an arm. But also, like, you lost the whole arm. Like, if you or I lost an arm, like, this is going to be, like, a big deal. But then we come to this chapter, and everybody is losing hands. Like, every person is losing their arms. Katana Man gets both his arms cut off. The aging devil, which we need to talk about him or her or them, because I fuck with this concept very heavy. But the aging devil, both their hands gone, and now Yoru has both their wings clipped. And maybe Yoru has a little something extra in the bag, but also your wings are your arms are cut off.
It's the like you said, the hands thing is big in this chapter. There's been a sort of a small well, not small, a pretty popular theory going around of Pochita is sort of
targeting trauma.
Rage mode, targeting trauma. He's going to destroy everything that's ever hurt Denji, which I'm into it. The first time we saw Pochita come out, right? Denji was just sort of very sad, Denji was just very depressed. He was like,
the first hero.
Oh, no. Yeah, he was like, oh no, I lost everything. And we saw Pochita just sort of like fighting, but trying to like give Denji back what he wanted, and
so
bring Denji back to the surface. But this time, when Denji went off, he was angry. He was mad. He was fucking. Yeah, he has a lot to be fucking mad about.
Who's the only person who touched Denji? I mean, only person who touched Pochita, I think, was Angel, right? The Angel Devil was the only one that actually attacked.
So, I will say, people, this chapter obviously.
Are we defending Pochita from the Angel Devil allegations?
Pochita, Pochita's like power scaling is a little. It's not exactly straightforward. Like Chainsaw Man scaling doesn't make any sense because literally he gets jumped by like a hybrid, the War Devil, and a Primal Devil here, and know this. It doesn't even move apparently, which is like, what does that even? How does that even work? Like,
he has the blitz technique, right? He has the like, oh, you're about to hit me, and then like he did to the Hell Devil, right? You're about to hit. Hell Devil's across the city, and then he just like megs it like no diff,
right? And then but chapter before that. Or 2 chapters before that, he got he got jumped by some bugs and the octopus.
Somehow the octopus was able to grab him. That was honestly very, very strange chapter. But
and the aging devil already hit him once.
Yeah, the aging devil
hit him once before.
It was a weird situation.
Couldn't hit him this time
with 2 fists.
And like in the original Pochita fight. He gets off some stuff. Like he blitzes Hell Devil like that. But then there are times in the hybrids. They do launch him into space. He gets shot up. He gets stabbed. He gets blown up. But he's
very Hulk-esque. He's very much similar to like the Hulk in the sense of I'll take damage up until a certain point, and then I'm gonna turn up and like the fight's over. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's very, very akin to that.
He's got like a lock-in mode, but then like you can also lose focus and be vulnerable. So it's one of these things where Fujimoto just sort of writes it the way he writes it. And if you're too worried about the scaling dynamics of it, you're just gonna get confused.
Yeah, he clearly doesn't really particularly care about like. It's an interesting thing. Power scaling is interesting because I do think in some series it's basically worthless. Like in some series, the author clearly does not care about how strong X person is, and it's not really worth it. But at the same time, I think that Fujimoto does care about like some characters being strong. Like Quan Chi is clearly supposed to be strong, right? Like Quan Chi is like a character. It's like, yeah, Quan Chi, she's strong. But at the same time, he will have Quan Chi do silly things like bite somebody's belly in order to like jump off a roof and do stuff like that. And then like Quan Chi gets like shot in the arm protecting Denji, and then like the blood trails and we cut to a different scene. When if we're being honest, Quan Chi probably could have killed everybody in that scene and then continued on protecting Denji. You know what I mean? So we go from her like no diffing weapon devils, and then it's like I kind of have to deal with these random fodder public safety people who shouldn't be shooting at me in the first place, but we need to the sequence needs to happen. Like,
well, Quan Chi has a complicated status within the public safety. She's not necessarily free to just
rejoin a very
bunch of randos. Yeah. Ooh, I'm saying though, okay, even though people are cooking me on the timeline for my Quan Chi take, I am saying though I do kind of expect her to show up in this fight. Like,
really?
Well, I mean, this is public safety's plan, and like it's not like she like obviously, Kishibe warned her, don't go against Chainsaw Man, right? But it's not like she has she doesn't have free will in the scenario. They were sending her around to fight them in the facility. And she didn't want to do that, and she got kind of a lucky break with her manager getting chopped up.
That whole sequence was really interesting, but I also kind of fucked with it. You know what I mean? Like I was like I read. The thing about Chainsaw Man these days is like if you consume Chainsaw Man through the timeline, the series is like it sucks. And then you actually read the series and you're like, oh, I read these chapters and they weren't really that bad. Like it was pretty darn good stuff going on in there. Like I like the whole like his wife ends up being the one who changed him to death, and
that was very classic.
Right, like that's like a very you gave me what I needed. I feel like it works.
The surgeons were very funny. Were very funny.
That whole sequence where Denji's getting chopped up. Now that was some serious stuff right there. Like that was like,
that's crazy.
Okay. We're Chainsaw Man. Like this is
it.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes, it's all very much. Well, here's what I'll say. Like lots of people have been saying the last stretch of chapters, including this one. It's like, oh man, Chainsaw Man, it's back. Chainsaw Man's finally getting interesting.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you've been paying attention, it's like all the seeds have been being planted. Like he's been building through the whole story, including, as we've come to understand, like Asa's whole story was like a build to where we're at now. Denji's whole story was a build where we're at now. This whole speaking of the hands, right? We're talking about Pochita going after Denji's trauma. I mean, we just had some trauma involving hands, including one of the specific hands that gets taken care of in this chapter. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah. That was kind of
Yep.
crazy. That whole sequence with Yoru.
It's
It's
a little.
actually kind of funny. It was
It's
Yoru's character
actually
who was
yours.
the one that
It
was
was
responsible for
actually,
this
yeah, she did it.
thing. You know,
Uh,
that's a good point. But
yeah.
it's so there's so many layers to it because it's like the whole like mouth thing like distracts you. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, their mouths were taken away, and this is just a chapter about them fighting to get their mouth back. And it's like, no, like
But the
she's using
title
the
is,
hand that assaulted him. So like she's, you know what I
yeah.
mean? He just zipped that off real quick.
She's
But
getting a
also,
little bit. She's getting a little bit of what she deserves. A lot of bit of what she deserves, which is true.
well,
You're a fan over
I know you're
here,
a Yoru
but
fan.
like
I
she
won't say
fucked
too
up.
much.
She fucked up. You know what I mean? Not good.
Yeah.
She's evil. Evil deeds.
I mean, arguably the
Seem
main antagonist of the series, if we're being honest. Like, arguably I won't say, I don't think it's
well.
really right to compare her to previous antagonists, but I would say that the way in which the character was introduced, I'm expecting big things. Let's just say that. I'm expecting big things.
I have an interesting
Theory?
a different perspective on this.
Okay.
So let me put it to you this way. It's like Denji in like we pick up part 2, we have our protagonist Asa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Denji's story.
Yeah.
And everyone, all the fans, we know Denji's the hero, right? He's the guy who saves the day. But that's not what happens in the story, right? Like Denji, we get hit with the classic like, ooh, he's only got 2 options. How's he gonna break through, right? But there's no breakthrough. There's no way out. There's no. It was inevitable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Denji is not the hero. Denji is the victim. He is the damsel in distress. He is now caught in Pochita. And how's he gonna? Oh no, like, oh God, somebody save Denji, right? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Who's gonna
He just
save
saw his sisters.
Denji?
His sister's head on the platter, quite literally.
Right. Yeah. You see what I mean? It seems like there's no way out. Denji, no, and he just like through the story, he just keeps getting like victimized and victimized and victimized and victimized. Everyone's
Taking
like,
a lot of L's.
yes, everyone's like, oh my God, I hate this. Why does he have to suffer so much? Da 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 da. Right? Why does the main character got to go through all this shit? And it's like, yes, right? Yes, someone's got to save him. He is the damsel.
There's no way you think that Yoru was saving him. There's no way. There's no. I don't see the. I can see like I think that Yoru wants to fight Chainsaw Man. And by doing that, I feel like that could be potentially lethal to Denji. But maybe Yoru says maybe we can try and save Denji along the way, right? I don't know about her just being like objectively like tossing her plans to the.
It wouldn't be just her, right? It's
It would
her
be
and
unusual,
Asa.
to be fair.
It's her
It
and
would
Asa.
be a subversive. It would definitely throw me for a loop if Yoru.
But okay, but the whole sequence in the alley, right? A critical point in the story. Very fucked up sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And Yoru is completely max evil, right? Just completely selfish. But the reason she's doing it because she caught some feelings, you know what I mean? Like her devilish, evil self was like really caught up for this like human guy who she fucking hates because he's Chainsaw Man. Right? And now here she is staring down the hero hell. She came in with the fucking sushi sword.
So we need to talk about Yoru and her weapons. We actually do need to talk about that because we need this is a serious issue. But I'll let you continue. It seems as though you're about to say that she's about to have a heel switch, a face heel turn.
I don't know if that's quite it, but I think there's some room for reflection and growth.
Reflection taking an L, yes.
in terms of I think in her relationship with Asa. But before we get into that, let's talk about sushi. Okay. Let's talk about the sushi sword.
Listen, the weapons are an issue. The weapons are a little bit of an issue. So when Chainsaw Man Part 2 started, I was like, wow, this is going to be so cool. Yoru has the ability to turn anything, including people, into weapons. And there's, we didn't really know the conditions of it. And later we find out it's about the emotional relationship with the host and the degree of guiltiness. But at the same time, it was we've seen some powerful weapons. We've seen the school uniform sword. We've seen the room sword. We've seen a couple different ones. And at this point, I'm kind of when you're pulling up to fight the hero of hell with a sushi sword, there's a tiny bit of an issue. I feel like Yoru kind of needs, and I want to say this in two parts. Part one is Yoru needs a better base of weapons, and part two is I think that the reveal will be that Yoru's weapons, she can any weapon she's created, she can probably use it in the future. When she reveals her actual ability, her true devil form.
You think we're gonna get the war devil?
The war devil form,
yes. as we do with Kuchita. I think so. I
think we might get it sooner or later, to be honest. The way these chapters are playing out, I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw a bird, devil, war, demon thing battling Pochita through the streets. I wouldn't be mad at it.
Some monster battles. I mean,
I love a good monster battle. A good monster battle. We love that.
There's some good shit. You got the Naruto thing going on. Where the monster battles come, the kaiju battles in the midst of the. Yes.
That's a good one. It's very Hulk-esque, like we said before, right?
Yes.
You transform into the monster, but you have a little bit of direction, and you point it at the enemy. And I wouldn't be too mad if we saw I know bird form Yoru hasn't been seen since chapter 1. What if there's a demon bird form transformation? That would be kind of raw. You know what I mean?
It would be in line with the story structure of Chainsaw Man, right? You have the little.
It would be very unexpected for a lot of people. It would be very, very cool, and it doesn't even have to last that long. 5 chapters, I'll take it.
5. This is.
That's as soon as she gets knocked to the side and then pops in, and then you know what I mean. 5 chapters. It doesn't have to be 5 straight fighting chapters. It could be 5 chapters. Quan Chi jumps in, public safety interview.
Sure. Yeah. I can see it. I do think it's been Fujimoto's. He teased us with the 606 sword, right? Your Nation 606 sword. We were so up. We were ready for her.
You were super hyped about that one.
To get in the mix with this thing, and she never did.
It just disappears. These weapons just go away, and I don't understand the concept of how are you able and you don't have an arsenal.
They all definitely have a time limit. So, they're not just.
That's what's weird, yeah. Because with the uniform sword, I was if you're gonna go through all that controversial uniform transformation sword weapon thingy, and then it gets it's a one tap.
Yep.
I'm I would like to see the weapon again. I love to see Asa have a weapon that means something to her. You know what I mean? Let me give you an example. This is the thing about Asa and Yoru's power, and I don't know if you want to go for it.
Go for it.
Okay, so this is the thing. powers are important, particularly within shonen, but like just in general, if you're going to do like a fictional universe where they have powers, it's important because it has to do with like the character, right?
Right.
So with Asa, it's like it's really, really interesting that she has the ability to turn things that she's guilty about into weapons, right? That I love that. Imagine if she went back to that orphanage and turned it into a weapon, or God forbid, she loses her mind and turns like the woman who killed her cat into a weapon. That could be a really powerful weapon.
Well,
but I wouldn't
okay.
want to see it happen one time. That's all I'm
I
saying.
don't know if those would work because I don't know if she is guilty about those. Maybe she could turn the corpse, like the cat.
I feel like she would feel
the
guilty about like,
cat's
just the
bones
concept.
into
Oh, the
maybe
cat
yeah.
bones. Yeah, I mean, even
Yeah.
that, it doesn't really matter. Like the like
But
go to her mother's grave and just boom, weapon. Let's see what it does.
ow!
Listen, that's how it works. That's how the series is. It's like, you know what I mean? Like the concept
That's
works.
true. That could
You
be
could just start smoking people.
real
She
deep.
could be so strong. She might take out the hero hell. I don't know.
I could see that. I could see that going down. That's kind of fucked up shit that Fujimoto would do. I will say, you said like, you know, she goes through this thing with the making the weapons and the guilt, and then they're just like gone and thrown away. There is something interesting about that with the way that like it seems like Asa's emotions have been like dulling. You know what I mean? Like, you know, she had her arm cut off, but she didn't really react that hard. You know, she was like, "Oh, it's fine." You know, my arm's gone. You know, she found out about Denji, and she was just like, "Wow, that's crazy." You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that was kind of weird.
She's, you know, and if you think about the weapons that she's been making, it's like she's been going through these things that matter to her, like all of the things in her life, like her whole everything she owned in her home, right? She destroyed it all at once, and then she just moved on from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's been like destroying the things that make her guilty, turning them into weapons, and then you know, Asa's guilt and like the self-loathing from that, you know, is sort of similar to like Denji's trauma, right? Where in part one, something traumatic would happen to Denji, to be like, you know what, never mind. You know, yep, put it behind the door.
Chainsaw Man. When he did something where Aki was crying and he was like contemplating the concept of like feeling bad, and then he kind of just like turns it. He's like, "Oh, I'm okay," and then he goes off and hangs.
Yeah. He puts it behind the door. You don't open the door. You know. You see Asa, she's kind of running through her life and just like destroying things.
The chickens on the floor. We haven't really gotten to that. What is going on with these chickens on the floor? There's a lot of different details. Okay, I'm not too mad at it. I would love to see this like explode in the future. I don't.
Yes. We're well. Okay. I know the. So okay, let's get into. We're coming around the last part of the podcast because this is probably the thing that has been most discussed. Although I will say before we get into that, I really liked the aging devil sequence where their arms got cut off, and you know, damn, this panel looks sick as hell. There were some moments in this chapter with more scuffed art, especially all the background characters, all the like mob characters in part 2 have been a little scuffed looking, but you know, it's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But the other stuff looked really fucking good, especially that page with the aging devil looked fucking sick with the mirror in the middle.
For sure.
Oh yeah, you said you were way into the aging devil concept.
I'm a big fan of the Ancient Devil. I feel like there's a lot of potential there, and I hope that this potential is realized because I think I put something up where it was like I realized that like if there's no aging, there's no birth, right? So like let's say we just kill, let's say Denji eats the aging devil. And to be fair, we don't really know what would happen, right? Like there's different rules for how like different things happen. We don't really know how
right. This could be like, this might be general aging, but it might be like,
right.
Getting old, right?
Yeah,
So people might
exactly.
still like
Just the fear of getting old.
Raise by
So
like mature into adults, but then like stop, or who knows?
It could be anything from Denji and Asa never getting older, which means like perpetual youth, which leads into like the sort of really fucked up sort of like childlike mentality of Denji in reaction to all the trauma that happened as a kid.
Yes.
So like maybe he never gets a chance to get past that, and the entire rest of the series is just Denji as a kid. Or it could be no one is ever born again, which ties into the concept of like Makima being the mother and the idea of there's no future to generations. And I'm sure public safety would freak out if they realized, oopsie daisy, we made a contract with the devil that is responsible for making sure that, yeah, old people don't get old, but also like fetuses never grow up. You know what I mean? So someone is just like, actually pregnant.
I mentioned this last week, but they were already and willing to just go ahead and trash like 10,000 living children.
Just
so
and honestly,
potential unborn children. Do they even? Who cares?
Who cares? But that old person who made that deal, like honestly, they showed up like a JoJo character. They showed up like he was never gonna be seen again. You know what I mean? Just some like random old person who like, make the deal.
Yeah, that was fucking sweet, chapter. Man, Fujimoto,
crazy no mouth panel of Fumiko.
Yeah,
who's another character that needs to be
discussed. Yeah, she wasn't in this chapter though.
She wasn't in this chapter, to be fair.
She wasn't in this chapter. She was making her moves last time. Aging really, really interesting. I mean, they're still in the mix here. Everyone is very much like, yours cooked. This fight's over. It's done. And I'm like, no. Okay, guys, we're still going here. It's all right.
What has it been, like 2-3 chapters? It's only been 3 chapters, right? Maybe 4.
Yeah, and I think this is probably gonna be more or less the whole like closing act of part 2. However it closes out, whether it ends the whole series or whether it leads into a part 3, I think all of the threads that have been, swirling around the story, Fami, Fire Devil, Fake Sawman, public safety, their plan has come out, right? That's been one of the big questions. Like, what the fuck is public safety up to with all this? And Fumiko, and well, we're seeing that comes into play. We're seeing that like Barem has some kind of dealings with public safety, so like the church and whatever was going on with that is all coming out as well already. And now, all right, let's talk about what the fuck you think is going to happen next time. Now, Yoru's got no arms, staring down Tear of Hell, but yet, one of my favorite pages in the whole series at the very end here. Damn. The character expressions in part 2 are crazy. Expressions have always been like something Fujimoto focused on with the story, But in part 2, it's really like it is the focal point of the whole thing, and it's so good. This looks so crazy.
The no mouth Yoru expression. I mean, I feel like that's an iconic panel at this point.
I already is. It's crazy. What do you think? What do you think her expression is? How do you read this? Because everyone I've talked to has a different read on this.
I definitely think there's a little bit of like shock, and there's also a little bit of recognition, almost. A little bit of FU, but also a little bit of like, there's definitely something new going on, right? Like, there's something where she's like, I haven't seen this before, or I am recognizing something new. I feel like she's like remembering what it was like to fight him the first time. You know what I mean? Like she's like, oh yeah, this guy right here is Chainsaw Man, not that kid that I was messing around with and I was trying to kill for this period of time. Like this is the hero of hell. You know what I mean? Like, and some people have been saying a little flashback. You know, I wouldn't mind a little flashback transition into the devil, war devil, Yoru bird form. I wouldn't mind it. You know what I mean? Like,
you want to see
just a little something. I wouldn't mind that at all. At all, if I be real.
It's almost certainly a flashback, given that we have this transition to black gutter on the left here, which is not different. Mangaka use them in different ways, but with Fujimoto, it is almost always a flashback.
How many of those did he do in Chainsaw Man? That's what I'm kind of confused about, because I don't
you know, Aki's initial flashback. There aren't that many flashbacks in Chainsaw.
He's not a big flashback guy. That's why I was like, when people were like, well, the prison, we need a little flashback. I was like, I don't know if we're gonna get one of those, because he's not really a flashback type of guy.
Yeah, the story generally moves forward.
Yes.
And then when you get a flashback, it's gonna be some shit. You know what I mean? It's gonna be pretty wild. But you know,
I'm open to it.
When in the Gun Devil chapter where Maki is talking about what happened in the past, we have the Black Gutters. Angel's flashback. We have the Black Gutters. In Asa's, there have been a lot more flashbacks in part 2, specifically with Asa.
Yeah, Asa feels like
that's had quite a few. In 102, she has her long flashback with her mom and stuff, and then she has another one with the cat. And we're about to get another one. It looks like there's the one with Nayuta, right? The Nayuta flashback is the most recent one. But it's almost like I think it's 100% consistent with the Black Gutters, which is standard technique. But he's very consistent with that. So the fact that we have the Black Gutter coming in here and the focus on the eyes, we are going into Yoru's memory. Now, like he said, a very reasonable conclusion. She's staring down the hero of hell. She's thinking back on, what happened before. And I would not be. We could see the Death Devil.
Yeah, we can see the Death Devil. I literally just thought of that just now. I'm like, wait, what if she flashes back and she sees like the old form of the Death Devil? Like that would be so cool.
Yeah.
The old form of Mommy. Oh my goodness, the old form of the Control Devil. Like, imagine. Just imagine. Let's not hype it up. Let's not get too excited. Like, we're getting a little bit too excited now.
That would be so sick. And I love the fucking devils. And honestly, I do think one of the things that is a bit of a drag in part 2 compared to part 1 is there are not that many devils that have been in the story.
Yeah.
The devils that we do have, they're all just kind of weird people. You know what I mean? Like, it's like Fami and Nayuta and Yoru, and they're great characters. But
they're very person-esque because it didn't used to be like this. It didn't used to be like humanoid devils all they were. Like
No,
it was like
the
Makima's
devils
whole
were off.
reveal, right? Like the whole
Yeah.
reveal of Makima was like, oh, she's a devil, and I kind of knew,
Right.
but I was like, at the same time,
Right.
I was like, oh, she's the control devil. Okay, cool, this is cool. It didn't really used to be like this. Like it used to be like the
Right.
fiends, right? Like the fiends were
Yes.
like the humanoid
Everybody
devils.
had like crazy designs, and they were all really freaky, and they all had
Like the
insane
fiend's head,
personalities.
you can always tell a fiend by their head. Whereas with the devil, when
Right.
the devil would show up, it would be like, oh yeah, that person's evil. Like we gotta like chainsaw man that person to death.
Yeah, and they were always freaky and had some like cool designs going on, and the doll devil was one that showed
That's
up.
true. That was a big one. That was like, what is going
like
on here?
Human,
but that was also like a whole like twist, right? Like that was like the whole
yeah.
twist.
Also, was that person or was that group of people the doll devil, or did they contract with the doll devil like a fire devil scenario?
Contract with the doll devil. The doll devil's contract was to like take over the person's body or something. I don't really know.
Yeah, who knows?
But I also well, I'm a big doll devil fan. I support the doll
Santa
devil.
Claus.
Yeah, Santa
Wow,
Claus.
doll devil. Santa Claus did nothing wrong. Okay.
Yeah, Santa Claus did nothing wrong. We love Santa Claus. Santa Claus was right. That assassin who Santa Claus was manipulating was like clearly evil. Come on now, like that person was always gonna be a psychopath. Santa Claus was just easing things along and making it easy. Like, why are we trying to like demonize Santa Claus?
You might be forgetting about the children.
I'm not forgetting about anything. I honestly, I think you're 100% correct on Santa Claus. Honestly, my head is clear. Santa Claus was a cool character, and I enjoyed everything leading up to Halloween. The whole sequence. It was great.
Yeah, Santa Claus was great, and the Christmas versus Halloween was a very nice motif there. You know what I mean?
You're probably. I honestly never put two and two together. That never ever crossed my mind that they did the whole Halloween thing versus the
little Western holiday motif. You know,
that's pretty funny. Honestly.
Why did he do that? I think it was just a funny thing. But
yeah, I feel like he was just like, Halloween's better than Christmas, so here you go, bam.
True and real. Don't even at me.
I prefer Christmas, but it is what it is. And Santa Claus is who they are. Hey, are we ever gonna see Quan Chi's like little fiend assistants again? At least one of them should be alive. At least one. The one that sat there and pulled the eye out of the eye socket. That one should be alive.
Yeah. I forgot her name. Sugiyagi? I think that's
he was the zombie one. I think it was a zombie.
That's Sugiyagi. According to public safety, they have their corpses in custody, right? That's their leverage over Quan Chi, is that she wants to give them a proper burial, it seems. Right? That's why she's in mourning with the black lace on everything.
I mean,
rip the fiends.
Very Gojo-esque.
Yeah. Again, more cool devils that Fujimoto's just taking them away. No cool devils in part 2. It's all just sad humans, it's just human suffering.
He does things like he's like, oh, here's the Bat Devil, right? Like he's like, oh, Chainsaw Man like accidentally kills the Bat Devil while he's trying to kill the Roach Devil, and then he does the Eternity Devil sequence. And then he's like, all right, that was enough references to part 1. Let's say F all of that. And here's
we're done with part 1.
Here is Weapons Devil. And honestly, those are some of the best parts of part 2. You know what I mean? Like Falling Devil I was thinking about stuff there. I was like, wow, the last few arcs where it's been Hero of Hell, Weapons Devil arc with the burning of the house. Then it's been Falling Devil, Eternity Devil, which is really a part of the Falling Devil, and then before that it was like the sweet
introducing Asa, Yuko, Asa,
oh, this is super cute type of part 2.
Yeah, part 2 might be good. You might be honest. Part 2
I
might be
was thinking about this the other day. I was like, why are people flashing this like part? Like, I was like, wait a minute. The last arc was literally one of the best arcs, and before that, it was like, in my opinion, probably the best arc. Like, Fallen Devil was like up there, and then you followed up with Weapon Human. Like, that's pretty darn good. Like,
and now we're getting crazy stuff. I do feel like
Hero of Hell pops up in the middle of the arc. Like, that's crazy. Out of a
every
sushi
week,
shop.
I feel like I go a little insane because people are like, "Oh my god, that chapter was so fucking good." You know what I mean? There've been like 2 or 3 chapters where people are like, "Oh, I don't know, I was kind of disappointed." And then like, which is like, okay, you know, it's a weekly manga, you know, not every chapter.
It's very, very much a weekly manga for sure. Yeah.
Not every chapter is the height of the heights, right? Which is fine because it's a long story. But then, like, that's only happened a couple times, that means it's a pretty good series.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, are not complaining that frequently. It's probably okay.
But then it's like people go back in hindsight. They're like, "Bro, this fucking sucks." Like, part 2 is so mid. I was like, we were just talking about how the last chapter was peak, and like, what? And like, but that arc was good. What's going on here? What's happening? I don't understand.
Yeah,
it's just social media. I think it's just take brain. You know what I mean? You gotta have something to say. You know what I mean? You can't
honestly,
just be like, it's cool.
I was thinking about Chainsaw Man, and I'm kind of at the point where I just don't listen to people's opinions on social media because they're always terrible. I mean, like, everyone's opinion on social media about Chainsaw Man is like reactionary. You can tell that there's like, it's almost like there's, I don't want to say that there is a economy, but like there's, you know, like with the introduction of like blue checks and with the introduction of like people who want to get like attention, you can 100% tell when someone is just like posting panels out of context just to get like the maximum amount of reaction.
Right.
And then you're like, oh yeah, like that panel was kind of crazy. Like, no cap. Like, it was kind of weird that he was like sucking on the tentacle. But then like you like look at the chapter in context and you're like, that wasn't really, it wasn't that bad. Like, it was just a chapter. Like, that's what happened. Like,
I mean, yeah,
it was a dead here, and then the sequence of events.
It's Fujimoto, man. Like,
yeah,
he does freaky shit because he's a freaky fucking weirdo. It is what it is.
Aggressiveness, right? You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
if someone is intentionally trying to piss off the audience a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, just a little bit to kind of get the audience riled up. You kind of gotta, you know what I mean?
He comes after the reader. He does not let you sit back and just sort of like, we're just sort of like passively say, oh yeah, you know, oh, this is so cool. He comes at you like, bah, like the puke scene in part 1 where you're like, oh god, what the fuck am I looking at? You know,
he definitely is conscious of the reader and definitely conscious of the audience to a degree, where you can tell that like with like something as simple as like the concept of the Chainsaw Man cheer, where like people are like, Chainsaw Man, right? Like, you can tell that's put in the manga to be like, hey, you weirdos, you guys.
Yep. The whole
the Barum Fumiko scene where it's like, oh, I'm a fan of Chainsaw Man and I'm a fan of Denji. It's like, okay, both of you guys are weirdos, but I see what you're doing, Fujimoto.
Exactly.
I mean, you're coming after us a little
bit. Part 2 especially is it's harder to read, and he's sort of directly challenging you as you read it. He's like, hey, look at this. Look at what's happening.
This is the manga that you gassed up. Hey, it's almost like he's like the anime comes out and it's like, oh, look, Makima is so hot. Like, we love Makima. And there's like a scene of like Makima just like straight up grooming Denji. And it like goes viral, like 20K, and people are like, oh, we love Makima. Makima is so good. And he's like, oh, you love grooming? Okay, here's Fumiko. if we was gonna do the exact same thing that Makima did,
exactly,
and then you guys are gonna freak the fuck out because it's not Makima.
And now you all hate her. You know
Yeah.
what happened, guys?
Because the
What's
exact same
happened?
sequence.
What's going on?
But you guys
You all love Makima,
right?
but you hate Fumiko. What the hell?
And Makima's
Little
like
bit. Yep.
popular anime characters of like our time. Like she's fan arts go Makima go crazy. People love Makima. I love Makima. I think Makima's great, but you know, it's a little bit of a situation. We have a situation with the audience. The audience,
yes, with the fans.
We're living in the age of controversy where everything has to be some, like you said, hot take. And everyone's like, oh, this is terrible about Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man's so bad. And it's like, okay.
I mean, he literally has a faction. There's one of the factions in the story is Chainsaw Man haters, right? There's like Chainsaw Man fans versus the Chainsaw Man haters.
Yeah.
And you know, the way he fucking that scene where he fucking with where it's the Awesome Mitaka fans and the Chainsaw Man fans fighting, right? The Awesome Mitaka fan comes up and says, "Hey, are you wearing a Chainsaw Man shirt?"
Oh yeah. When he's like,
and he's like, technically, Chainsaw Man is abusive towards Asa because he was taking credit for her kills, and that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's funny as hell because it's like
It was so fucking good.
To the degree it's like super accurate, right? Like Denji's just minding his business. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
Like, you're on social media minding your business. Maybe you like accidentally like make a post that could be about a different fandom, and then you have like 50 random people in your comment section.
Oh, dude, the Boruto fans were fucking out for blood. I like mentioned that Boruto was below Chainsaw Man on a break week for English, for just the English. I was like, which doesn't normally happen. You know what I mean? I was like, oh shit, Chainsaw Man's kind of popping off. It's coming back in popularity, even though it's a break week. That's kind of crazy. And the Boruto fans were like, what the fuck are you doing? You know, I made like a Boruto bots joke, and they were like coming in with fucking like 5-paragraph essays about this. Impossible. It's a bot. Manga Plus. There's no way. These numbers are real. Everybody knows Boruto's top. You're just mad. I was like, this is awesome.
You're like, whoa, I didn't know it was like this. Like, okay, sure. It's kind of funny because once you start pissing people off, you get like a little bit of like, maybe I should do that again. Like, just like, oh, yeah.
No, I'm good. I don't really have any beef with them. I don't read Boruto.
You don't even have to have beef. You're just like you said before, you were like, oh, every time a power scaling discourse starts, like someone needs to start talking about Gojo versus Sukuna. Whatever, I would be like, I would just gas up Gojo for no reason. You know, I'd be like, oh, Gojo, like I might have to start, you know, I might have to get back on the bandwagon.
You might have to start bringing back the Gojo. Oh, please. The Gojo people are still the war is still going.
It's crazy.
You have to take the war to Gege now, though. Like in the same way people are doing with the Nobara comeback, you have to be like, this is bullshit. Gege's a fucking clown. Gojo should have won back then. This whole
I have some things.
As hell.
Hey, I have some things.
You know what I mean? Like,
if Sukuna has been
showdown was not worth it. You know what I mean?
If Ryomen Sukuna has been defeated, I have a few things to say. Let's just say that there's some old agenda that has been put on the back burner, and we've been like, you know, oh yeah,
well,
versus Sukuna, how would that turn out without Maharaga? Listen, man, if I've seen what the dude is, people have been telling me, oh, he has these secret weapons and these secret curse techniques. Okay, let's wait. It's been a year. It's been a year. Where are they? Where are these secrets? Listen, man, if I don't see a secret CT that one-shots Megami and Yuji and Nobara from 200 meters out in the next 4 chapters, we're gonna have some conversation.
Nobara is in a fucking like secure location deep underground, right? Like he's cooked, you know.
It's funny as hell.
People who called the resonance counter, they're, you know, what Kaio Breeze. Shout out to Kaio Breeze.
Oh yeah.
He fucking
the resonance was called.
complete. But I mean, that was like so many people were calling that. Can't believe
it's honestly been like super. I don't want to say it's been predictable. I will say this about, because we should probably talk about the JJK, because the first time I came on here, it was the JJK versus the CSM, and let's talk, we don't need to talk about
our most popular episodes.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about it in terms of verses, but with JJK, it's really interesting to see. Let's take Nobara, right? Like, it's like at the end of the day,
we're doing so good.
Was it really worth waiting to the last like final chapters to like hammer a finger just to reintroduce the character? I feel like we could have, said, hey, here's the character. They have a little bit of like medical problems and they're probably not going to be useful during the fight. And then surprise, they have like a role, right? Like we could have, there's different avenues that
could have had Nobara like around.
Just around like
and doing stuff. I mean, there were a lot of chapters where lots of like notable characters were literally just doing commentary. You could have had a little bit of Nobara.
Maybe it would have made those chapters better, because I remember
Nobara sass in the mix would have been kind of fun.
That's what people wanted. That's all that we wanted. All we wanted was like Nobara's.
Here's what I will say.
Hold on, you froze up on me. But all we really wanted was hold on, you're back. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Here's what I will say in defense of this kind of shit that Gege does, right? Is that this is not like the thing you described would have been great, right?
Yeah.
Like with Nobara being around. We love Nobara. She would have been around. That's fine. However,
fun.
Everybody knows that's how it goes. You know what I mean? Like, we've seen it all before.
That's how it's supposed to go down.
you know the shocking comeback of the dead character who is then like in the mix. But how are they going to contribute in the end, right? Because they haven't trained. What are they going to do?
It was always weird, for sure. Yeah.
Right. So like that's very classic. Everybody knows this, and Gege knows everybody knows, and it's sort of like this.
That's the problem. He's a little bit too like aware of like the situation.
There's a way that could work where like it would fit in the paradigm of what people understand, but then it would be, it wouldn't have that insane impact where you're like, what the fuck is this, dude? Yeah. So the way he like fucks it up a little bit, like the way he like does things that don't really make sense to do for a story is like,
for the story it doesn't really make sense.
That's
that's what is like the most exciting sequence. He's like, oh, what if I reveal at the very last second? It's like, Nobara's back. Haha! Like, you know what I mean?
And the very last second. It's like,
but it's also like, I'm just happy she's back. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But at the same time, it kind of sucks. So it's a bit of a hard sort of like, this would have been so easy to just be like, hey, Nobara's back when Gojo's back. Gojo comes back first, and then it's like, okay, cool. Nobara's in a coma. We wake her up, and she can't really contribute to the fight, so don't expect much. And then at the last second, you're like, oh, surprise! Haha! We have a secret finger hidden over here.
No, see, but then you have to push it all the way. Otherwise, it's not insane.
It doesn't work.
Right?
It doesn't work. But you also,
but if it worked,
comedy,
if it worked, it wouldn't hit like that. You know what I mean? If it worked, it would just be like, oh yeah,
but did it hit as hard as it could?
Well, that's up to the reader. But it definitely hit the internet like a fucking bomb.
Yeah. Tupac is back, but like,
you know what I mean?
Like, couldn't it have been like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like everybody reacted the way they did because they wanted it so badly, and there's almost like an entire like
cottage industry.
yeah, like around like the concept of Nobara coming back. Like there's like a whole like identity basis and branding of like, hey, we are the people who say that Nobara's come back. I've been saying this for a very long time in the sense of like, I never thought that she wouldn't come back. I thought it would be really bizarre if she never came back. But then there was definitely a point where I was like, okay, I kind of understand why people are saying it doesn't really make sense for her to come back. Because like
that's
the series is almost over.
So,
but then it's like, oh, okay, well, last chapter I was like, yeah, this is definitely Nobara's setup. Like Nobara's right here with the finger, it's tied up somewhere. That's clearly Nobara. People to the very last chapter were like, no, Nobara's never coming back. You're stupid for thinking she's coming back. And I'm like, I mean, like, there's a finger strung up in like a dam in the middle of nowhere, Japan, and you're telling me that that's not a Nobara setup. Okay, cool, sure. Yeah, I guess.
You know, but that's the thing is that if it didn't go that far, you couldn't doubt the setup, right? But because he pushed it so far,
it makes you doubt
even though this is it makes you think how can Nobara be coming back now? That's such bullshit for the story. But like then it happens and you're like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, but Gege also has this thing. He's like, Gege's thing is that he only does what is necessary for him to like finish the story. So like with like Gojo, he's like, oh, is Gojo gonna come back? And it's like, well, yeah, Gojo's gonna come back because Sukuna just took over Megumi's body, which means he is Mahoraga, which means he's basically invincible at this point in the story, right? So then Gojo's the only person who can actually do anything. So that's the only real reason why like Gojo comes back. And he's like, okay, cool. The fandom loves Gojo, so what I'm gonna do is give Gojo like a send off, right? Like he gives him like this like really exaggerated like butt whooping of Sukuna, like Gojo's the greatest of all time. And then he's like, all right, you gotta die now. He's like, all right, I've had enough. It's time for me to
exit stage left, you know.
Yeah, he's like, this is the part of JJK that I started writing the series for, which is that I want to see Forum, Sukuna, just everybody's mess up. But he's also, this is where things get weird, is that he also does this thing where he's like, okay, I want to see Higuruma put Sukuna on trial. But when he puts him on trial, I can't actually have him take his CT. So I'll have him take the weapon instead of the CT. And then he's like, you know what? People really love Black Flash. And that's technically like Yuji's thing. So there's 100%, like we know going into the final fight, there's going to be Black Flashes. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, we got to see a Black Flash. And Yuji hits like 8 Black Flashes in a row on Sukuna. And we get to this final chapter. It's like, well, will Yuji get a domain? Is Yuji going to get a domain? I don't know. Is Yuji going to get a domain? And in the last 2 chapters, guess what? Yuji gets a domain. He does a domain on the fly. And he also has a Black Flash and a Divergent Fist. And Megumi and Nobara also jump in to contribute.
It's peak. The way you described it, this is peak fiction, dude. He's cooking like crazy. It's like it is jumping the shark. It is far beyond the veil.
100% jumping the shark. This is a perfect way to describe it. It's like, all right,
it is absolute shonen nonsense. I'm here. Yeah, keep going. Show me how to land this plane.
4 more chapters.
Crashes train straight into the mountain. Fuck it. Let's ball. I love it.
There's a tunnel somewhere in that mountain. We can't see it yet, but like he's guiding us towards that tunnel.
I mean, congratulations, Gege, on a hugely successful story on your run. It's been great, and I'm loving. I've been loving all the nonsense in the last run. This is what I was waiting for. I remember when
copies in the beginning of this year, like 90, like crazy numbers of copies.
Crazy numbers. I mean, the anime is so
fucking good. Series. He ended the series right after Horikoshi, like ended his series. And then like the whole running gag of like, oh, Horikoshi's done with MMA, My Hero Academia. Yeah, I'm done. Gege just turned in the final chapters. He was like, that's
you know what? That sounds good to me too. Wait a minute. You saying I can just end this shit? Wow. I'm doing that. He looked at Horikoshi's ending. He was like, dude, that was scuffed as hell. Fuck this.
He heard that Horikoshi was going home and immediately said, here you go. Here's 5 more chapters.
He was like, you know what, guys? It's been fun. Okay. Speaking of it's been fun on this broadcast. I have one last thing to talk about Chainsaw Man before we leave. Because speaking of, climactic battles, you were talking about the climactic battle in the past, the flashback. That's what you think is coming down the line in terms of the next chapter. That's what you're maybe that's what you're hoping for. This would be This is and a lot of people said it does make sense with the setup. Yoru staring down Pochita, and we do want to know about their history. And I am like the number one Warsaw shipper of all time. I have my theories about like ancient devil romance that went wrong in the past. That would be fucking fire. So if we see that, I'm not going to complain. However, I sort of suspect that we are going to get Yoru flashback to her time with Asa from her perspective.
Interesting.
See what I mean?
Interesting.
Because
I wouldn't mind that either, to be honest.
We've had a lot of blank period in there that's very conspicuous, and Fujimoto's been very conspicuous with it. You know what I mean? Being like, what was going on in that time, right? Like jumping all over with Asa and Yoru.
That's true.
And Yoru is pretty fucking badass here, even though she got fucking rolled. Like she loses her arm. She doesn't stay down. You know what I mean? She's like, fuck it.
Yeah, she
fuck
stands
this guy. She kicks fucking katana off. She gets up. She comes in. She's like, do it. You know what I mean? Fuck it. Fuck you. Right? Like, you know what I mean? So here she is staring it down. Like, God damn it. Fuck this guy again. Maybe she's thinking back on what has happened.
I would love both those outcomes, if I'll be real. I would love. I like both flashbacks. I like flashback too. I think that the flashback you gave probably makes more sense for the general story. I don't necessarily know if like right now, but I definitely think that a Yoru flashback on all the events that have occurred makes a lot of sense, and that would probably really elevate Chainsaw Man Part 2 to the next level storytelling.
That's what I'm saying. And also, like,
my flashback might be cooler though.
Yeah,
it might look a little bit cooler to see the devils in hell fighting Chainsaw.
It would be cool to see some fucking devils. But that's the kind of stuff that Fujimoto likes to sort of like leave blank. You know what I mean? Just like, this happened in the past. What was it like? How much does it really matter? I mean, it could be cool for some backstory here, but how relevant could it really be having come this far into the future? Whereas her thinking back to Asa and their relationship and everything going on.
I love that. That needs to happen, actually. Like, Fujimoto, if you're listening to this, tap in, bro. Give us that.
That's what I think might be coming down the line here. Plus, their relationship right now is like very tense. They are on the rocks. Asa's not happy with Yoru and what she's been doing in the last little time, and it would be interesting to see. I would love to see Yoru's perspective on all of this, and maybe how she's changed. She's been a background sort of character, even though she's central to the story. So to see her lock into that. And I think we might get more than one flashback chapter in a new that would be like a new thing for Chainsaw Man.
I would love to see it. I love flashbacks. Flashbacks can be great, man. And Fujimoto is usually very like concise, you know what I mean, with what he wants to show. And if it goes your way, I feel like it's definitely more than one. I feel like if it goes my way, it's 100% just like wrap it up. Like, here's what happened. And I just really, the big thing for me is like, it's not even just Yoru, but it's also like Makima, the Control Devil, the Death Devil. You know, like, these four sisters, like, that's what I'm like. Fami, what's going on with Fami? We still don't really know. Like, that would be like a really, but I also am probably being like a little bit too hopeful. You know what I mean? Like, I'm being a little bit like
that is a lot of lore for Fujimoto.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's not really like the Notebook type of mangaka, you know, to keep all that info in. But he's been more notebooky in part 2. So we'll see. We'll see. Not on Tuesday, because we were off this week. But
are we
don't believe Viz. Viz is lying. The story will be back on the 3rd of September. We are off this week, so be prepared for the fandom discourse to go to hell as it normally does. It's just gonna be everyone. You know, they didn't get their fix, so now they're jonesing, and they're just gonna start talking crazy. But get excited for whatever kind of flashback is coming down the line. It's gonna be
whatever it is.
As we've said, the 2 big options that we see in front of us, both of them can be
enticing. Yeah. I love both options. I don't really care. Give me something. Give me something for you.
I feel like we're in for something really great. He's taking his time with this one. I don't know of any special projects that he has. Like sometimes there's always a break week when he has to draw a cover because he hates drawing covers. But there's nothing like that this time, and there's no like MAPPA announcement or anything. There's no MAPPA announcement about the fucking
Look Back is coming to the United States. That's all we really
Look Back coming to the United States. Fuck yes.
Ooh. We're in there. We finally
get hyped.
It's been a long time, we really like it. I've been watching the whole Look Back thing explode, and then I don't want to take away, but
you only had to wait 4 months. Okay, I will say there have been many anime films that take like 5 years to get to the United States. Shout out to G Kids. Yes, you did it. Woo. This is so sick.
Fandom, by the way, dropping episodes in September, comes out in October. Just throwing it out there. They actually dropped, I think, the first episode screened in New York this weekend. And then they have, I think, the first 3 episodes screened in September, and the actual series drops in October. So it's going to be a crazy sequence of events.
Yeah, like we were talking about, Science Saru, absolutely
killing it.
Yes.
They have a whole like thing where like you can tell how colorful it is, but you can also tell that like each spirit, yokai, UFO thing's gonna have its own color scheme. So it's gonna be really interesting.
Somewhat deep. Yeah. That's very Science Saru, very artsy, very cool, very, very, very tapped in. They're so good. Gas Science Saru, all their stuff is quite well animated and pretty. So I think it will fit with Don really well. Get excited for that. Get excited for next chapter. Get excited for the end of JJK. Oh, the discourse is going to be
30 days.
It's already completely nonsense. This is gonna get worse. Get ready for that. Get excited for the next episode of this show. We will be back here next week. Talk about something. I don't know. I don't have a plan for it yet, but something will come up. We'll get to that. Yeah, maybe we'll do a full Dono episode. I mean, we could. It's fucking sick. It's fucking hype. Thank you Myron for coming. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This was the Public Safety Special Broadcast. Goodbye.
See you later.